Welcome to this brief tutorial on how to search for lobbying data from quarterly reports on the Ethics Commission's public data portal. We'll cover how to find data associated with lobbying activity, payments from clients, expenditures, fundraising, and contributions. To access the portal's lobbying searches, go to ethics.lacity.org/data/lobbying. Let's get started.
We're going to show you how to use these search features under data on the PDP. So what this does is it allows you to search for the data that's contained within the actual quarterly reports for you to get more information and details about what the lobbying entities have reported. This is probably an easier way to find information instead of having to comb through multiple PDFs. You might be able to better find what you're looking for by using one of these searches. So the first option is lobbying activity, and what that means is it includes the agencies lobbied and the city matters actually lobbied by the lobbying entity. Again, when lobbying entities register at the very beginning, they do disclose this information, but on a quarterly basis, they then report the actual activity they had during a given quarter, and this allows you to search for that. Then we have payments received from lobbying clients, fundraising, expenditures made, contributions made or delivered, and behested donations. So first we can start with lobbying activity. Let's go there. So similar to the other pages that we just saw, you can narrow by lobbying entity. Let's say you're only interested in what firms have reported. You could just select that and leave it as is and run the search. Same with these other entities. Or let's say you came to the PDP, you know exactly what you're looking for, you know what firm you're looking for, you can select their name on the dropdown and narrow it to just the lobbying activity reported by the firm. Again, if you're interested in just an individual person and what they've reported on the quarterly report, you can do the same using the lobbyist feature. Let's say that you're not entirely sure which lobbying entity you're looking for, but you want to see activity reported for a client. You could come straight here to lobbying activity, or you can go to the registrations and start there and see which firms may have reported that client as a client. Or you can just jump straight here and use the type ahead feature to search for a client name and then get the results about whether there were any firms that lobbied on that client's behalf and what that activity entailed. Similar to the other sections, if you just want to narrow by a given year or also a quarter, you can do that. Let's say you're interested to know what kind of lobbying activity was taking place with a certain department. You can also narrow by department. So let's say you just want to get a snapshot of lobbying activity that took place towards the mayor's department. You could do that and narrow by a given period as well. Similar to the registration search, you can also search using project details. So this is where, let's say you're interested in land use issues in a certain zip code, you could search that here. Or let's say there's an issue that you're interested in that may be taking place, and you can use keywords and try a few keywords in this field to see which entities have reported lobbying on that issue at any point. So next we'll move to lobbying payments. So there are a number of payments that are reported, but most likely you're going to be interested in client payments, which is where most of the activity is. You could select that, help narrow your search. Again, if you came here and you know exactly what you're looking for, you can enter the name of the specific client to get the list of payments that they made to firms. Or let's say you're not interested in a specific client, but you want to get a picture of the payments made to a given firm in a certain period. You could do that by selecting firms in general or the specific firm that you're interested in. Also note that for client payments, firms is actually the only option because lobbyists do not report client payments and neither do employers, just given the nature of who they are and how they're defined in the ordinance. So if you're looking for client payments, you'll be looking under firms. And again, let's say you wanted to search just for client payments reported by firms in the first quarter of this year. And let's say you're only interested in a certain amounts that are very high, you can use these fields to narrow that search. So let's run that search and see what it looks like. So here you'll see the quarter, who the payer was, to whom the payment was made, and what that amount was for. So one thing to note about client payments is that entities report the amount received, not the amount earned in the reporting period. So this amount may not directly correspond with the actual lobbying activity that took place in that quarter. However, it is the amount that that firm received for lobbying services in that reporting period. So that's just one thing to note about this search. The next one is fundraising activity. So if you're interested to learn more about entities that engage in fundraising activity, you can come to this dropdown and see what has been reported. If you're interested in a certain candidate or office holder or ballot measure committee, you can narrow or search on this dropdown. Again, if you're interested just in a specific entity, you came to the site and you know exactly what you're looking for, you can narrow it that way. And again, you can also narrow by period to run that search. Let's say you're only interested in what happened last year. You could run the search and see an overview of fundraising reported by lobbying entities in a given year. So the next one we'll jump to is contributions. So this one operates somewhat similarly to the fundraising tab. You can narrow by candidate, office holder, or ballot measure committee, or entity type. There are different kinds of contribution activity, whether the contribution was made, or maybe the lobbying entity played a role in delivering the contribution or acting as an intermediary. They do distinguish this activity on their quarterly report. So if you wanted to narrow by any of those, you could. And again, the year or quarter, or let's say you want to know who the original contributor was, you could run that search here. So if you wanted to look for a contributor where a lobbying entity may have delivered that contribution, you could specify your search in that way. So the next one we'll go to is lobbying expenditures. And this tab does have quite a bit of information. So why don't I go ahead and run this one so we can see what pops up. So generally this tab includes expenditures made to influence city matters. It also includes activity expenses, which are defined as payments that benefit a city official or member of their immediate family. So this usually includes things like gifts. You'd be able to search those here. This tab also includes payments to employees for lobbying activities. So this would include payments to the organization's registered lobbyists, as well as payments to other non-lobbyist staff who engaged in lobbying activities. They would report both. And then it also includes other expenditures made to influence any city matters. So if the lobbying firm or lobbyist employer made additional payments, let's say they spent money on community outreach efforts or advertising or consulting fees, or maybe they paid another lobbying firm, they would report that under other expenditures, and you can search that here. So you can narrow by period as we already did, or entity type. So one of the features that Jide mentioned that proved immensely helpful, search, especially on the lobbying expenditures tab, is if you're looking for something specific, you can further narrow the results that you have in front of you to find what you're looking for. So let's say I'm interested in 2023 expenditures, and specifically I just want to know about payments to in-house lobbyists. Just zoom out slightly. You can start typing here, and the public data portal will automatically start narrowing So as you'll see, it's filtering from 602 total entries down to 313, narrowing down to what you're looking for. For other expenditures, people will include a description. So let's say you have a certain expenditure type, like, I don't know, advertisements or consulting fees. If you wanted to type that in the search box, you could further narrow your results that way to see which entities reported that expenditure type. That does depend on the level of detail that is provided in the lobbying entity's quarterly report.
That concludes this brief tutorial. If you'd like to learn how to find additional information, please watch the rest of this short video series or contact us. We're always happy to help.